so you guys wanted to know kind of how I got settled in Japan, how I got started over here, and my story isn't going to really be helpful for you, I don't think, but it's kind of an interesting one. So, as most of you probably know, you need to have a visa to live in Japan. Japan's got some pretty strict immigration. You know, if you want to stay for more than 3 months, you got to talk to immigration. But usually, if you're a tourist, you can only stay for 90 days, and then they kind of boot you out of the country. So I knew I was getting married to my wife, so I was going to hold out for the spousal visa, which is a really powerful visa in Japan. So I thought, okay, I got to get the spousal visa, but you can't get married unless you're in Japan, right? So, and then you can't get the visa unless you're in Japan. So I came on a tourist visa, stayed, you know, and then applied for my spousal visa once I got here, after we got married. And you know, if I didn't get my visa, things could have gone so wrong. You know, basically my whole future was in the hands of immigration at this point. You know, and then when I moved over here, I basically brought everything that I owned, and then tried to claim that I was coming here as a tourist. So it was like October, and I was bringing like a snowboard and like a family blanket and the photo albums, and they're like, "How long do you plan on staying?" And I said, "I'm just visiting." So I came to Japan, and I don't know if that's illegal or not, but it's what I did. So I'm surprised that I even made it past customs and immigration at the airport. Yeah, but I guess let's go back before I got my visa. You can't work if you got a visa either, right? So it's this whole thing where you can't do this unless you do this, but if you can't do that unless you do that. So I was just waiting for that visa, but I don't like just waiting. I kind of felt helpless just waiting. So I thought, I'm going to try to find a job, even though I don't have a visa. While I was in the States, I'm going to try to find work. So I sent my resume out to a bunch of schools, and like the shittiest one out of all of them messaged me back, and they're like, and I explained in the resume that like I can't work until I get my visa, but I'm almost guaranteed to get it because I'm married, or I'm getting married, and they were just like, okay, yeah, we'll hire you. You're hired. Consider yourself hired, but we can't start you until you get your visa. And I said, okay, that's cool. I thought that was fair. So my wife was happy about it. My wife's family was happy about it. Once I got over there, I was like, okay, I'm ready to work. And they were like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm the guy you hired, the guy that you said was good to go. And they're like, yeah, we don't know who you are. So I gave them the emails, the whole transcripts of them basically hiring me. And they were like, yeah, no. So I said, okay, fuck you. They said, if you wanna reapply, that's cool. And I was like, this company is already jacking me around before I'm hired. It left a bad taste in my mouth. So I said, no, fuck you. So there was a small English conversation school near my house, and it was like 10 minutes away by bicycle. And I thought, this will be a good place to work. So I went in, and the people seemed so nice. The owners, they were like, don't call me by my name, call me Papa-san. Don't call me by my name, call me Mama-san. And I was like, okay, Mama, Papa-san, this is cool. I like this. Friendly Japanese people, that's pretty cool. I was so naive at this point, right? And I said, I need full-time work. I don't plan on living here for a year and piecing out. I'm going to be here for a few years at least. So I need full-time work. Part-time isn't going to cut it. And they said, well, we don't have full-time, but we will move you up when we have work. And I said, okay, that's fair. Yeah, so I said, I don't care if it takes a month, 2 months, 3 months, just as long as I'm seeing progress towards full-time, that's fine. They said, okay, that's cool. So they weren't even educators, they were just kind of businessmen, open up a conversation school for some quick cash. And it was obvious because they had no idea what they were doing at the school. So they said, we want you. So there was me, there was an American girl and there was a Japanese girl, and they said, we want you three to be the heads of our school and kind of choose the direction the school goes. And I thought, well, that's a lot of responsibility for some fresh off the boat gaijin. But they're like, whatever. So I said, okay. I know I took it as a compliment, like, okay, this is my big break in Japan. I'm gonna do a good job. And I tried to do my job, and I was working really hard, and most of it was unpaid. It was just like preparation for this, meetings and this, all of it, you know, all of it was unpaid. And finally it was just like, fuck, like they're just using me. It was obvious they were just using me. You know, and basically I think all they saw was just a white guy, a good-looking white guy that could be kind of like an image for their school. They were just kind of using me for that, I think. But anyways, the Japanese girl was in the same position I was. She was part-time and wanted more work. And then the American girl, she was salary, but she was working like 60 hours a week, but 20 hours. Technically, a teaching work week should be about 27 hours in Japan, and she was teaching like 40, 50, 60 hours a week with not getting paid overtime. So, and but they expected a lot of us. They expected us to, you know, run the school basically. So the girl who's working overtime, she's working so much that she's going to the doctor with ulcers and stuff. And she ended up writing them a letter. So what gear am I in? Oh, third gear, okay. Writing a letter saying, if you want us to be your, you know, if you want us to choose the direction of your school and you trust all of us, then we should distribute the work evenly, and also we should distribute the, we should also be compensated evenly for that. And you know, they went from being like this sweet mom and pop to these like, you fucking snakes, you conniving little bitches. And basically, I mean, they weren't mad at me, but they thought that the Japanese girl was like manipulating the American girl to write this letter, and they basically just fired her. But they didn't fire her like in just the regular way. They fired her by just like slowly taking away her classes until basically it was just a waste of her time to be there. She quit, so they didn't have to pay her any kind of like unemployment, right? So, and they were so mad at her, even though that she had nothing really to do with it. It was all the American girl's idea to write the letter, right? So they're mad at her. Ah, this girl's a snake. Don't, Kansai writer, don't talk to this girl anymore. Don't talk to her. And you know, and politely, I basically said to them, when you're paying me and I'm at work, feel free to tell me, you know, what to do and how to spend my time. But outside of work, you have no business telling me who I can and can't associate with. I didn't say it so blunt, but you know, politely, that's what I said. And then shortly after, my hours started to go down too, and they basically did the same thing to me. So, you know, Japan, people for some reason think Japanese people are like really honorable, polite, respectful people. Like, people kind of put Japanese people on a mantle, on a shelf, but it's not that way. Everybody's a dick. Americans are dicks. I should say white people are dicks, black people are dicks, Asian people are dicks, the Jews are dicks. Everybody's an asshole, guys. You can't trust anybody. And you know, that was kind of my first experience of like understanding that Japan wasn't some magical place. You know, like, you know, I had some pretty wide eyes. I tried to smell my hand through my visor. I had some pretty wide eyes. I learned about kind of the shittiness of people real fast. So anyways, and then after that, I got hired at my job, better hours, better pay, better everything. And yeah, so if I was still working at that shitty English conversation school, there's no way I could be riding this bike right now. So I'm so happy. But God, what a bunch of dickheads.